Thanks. Sorry about the wait.
No, not a problem. Thank you, Aaron. So showing it being 6 o'clock, we'll call our meeting to order. First order of business, are there any changes, additions, deletions to the agenda? Okay, hearing none. Looks like we have an agenda. Next would be roll call.
Jones?
Present in Alma, Michigan.
Commissioner Piccolo?
Present, Storm Lake, Iowa.
Commissioner Pitts?
Present, Alma, Michigan.
Commissioner Stahl? Commissioner Warnick?
Present in Alma, Michigan.
That, sir.
Okay, quorum. Next up would be the Pledge of Allegiance. Aaron, do you have a flag you could put up for us? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, moving down to the approval of minutes for the March 23, 2021 meeting, regular session. Your pleasure. Additions, deletions, corrections, whatever your pleasure there. Hearing none. Sarah, if you would, please.
Does this have to be roll call?
We don't have to do roll call.
Oh, we don't? Okay.
Go ahead and do the, yep.
Just a thumbs up then, we're good with that? Very good then. So all those in favor, a thumbs up and a yay?
Yay.
Okay.
Opposed would be a thumbs down and an A then, please. Looks like the motion is passed. Thank you. Forgot about that, Sarah. Going back to the old ways here.
We don't need to do that.
We'll move down to hearings. First order of business is to set a public hearing for Tuesday, May 11th, 2021 at 6 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the agenda will allow, to consider a special assessment rule for unpaid charges for noxious weed cutting, sidewalk replacement, and utility billing charges for 2020. Your pleasure there.
Move to set the hearing.
Support.
Okay, we get a motion and support. Any comments or questions? Hearing none. Those in favor would be a thumbs up and a yay.
Aye.
Yay.
Opposed would be a thumbs down and an A. That motion is carried. Item number 2 is to set a public hearing for May 11, 2021 at 6:05 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the agenda allows, to review the proposed 2022 or fiscal year 2022 Alma City budget and related property tax millages.
Move to set the hearing.
Support.
Lots of support. Everybody likes budget hearings, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Any additions or corrections, comments? Hearing none. Those in favor, be a thumbs up and a yay.
Yay.
Aye.
Opposed would be a thumbs down and an A. So it looks like that is carried as well. Okay, moving right along. Request for purchase. First up, we have consideration of a resolution to approve a request for the purchase to D&K Truck Company in the amount of $81,661 using My Deal Pricing, which is the state program, for a new cab and chassis for a new Public Works underbody blade truck. Who wants to spend $82,000?
I'll move approval.
Support.
Support. Any background from staff or comments from the commission? Questions?
Just this is a replacement of a plow truck. We've got some outdated ones, and this is the replacement. And this is the first phase of it, and then we have to buy the necessary equipment as far as the box and things like that. It usually takes a while to come in. Hopefully this fall it will be ready to go when we get it. So,
how old is the one we're replacing, David?
Probably 30 years old. Back, the number of these were in the early mid 90s is what we're replacing with.
Pretty fair, then. Anybody have any questions? Hearing none. Those in favor would be a yay and a thumbs up.
Yay.
Yay.
Nay and a thumbs down. The motion is carried. You have purchased a truck. Item number 2, consideration of a resolution to approve a request for purchase to Kennedy Industries in the amount of $18,250 for 2 replacement pumps for lift stations 9 and 10 with costs to be reimbursed by Arcadia Township, excuse me. Your pleasure thereof.
Move approval.
Support.
Any background, nothing different here, Dave, or?
No, these costs will be fully reimbursed. This one, as well as the next one, are fully reimbursed by Arcata Township. These are pumps and lift stations owned by them. We have a maintenance agreement with the township as a part of our agreement from 1977. These pumps are originals, and they are very long in the tooth. What we are doing is replacing one pump at each station, the opposing pump, the left side on one and the right side on the other, with the idea that perhaps we can get some more life out of the existing pumps that are to remain, and we can rob parts off of them to keep the others going as long as possible, so that when the pumps, if they do fail in the future, they're not going to replace both of them at the exact same time. So we're trying to get the township a little extra time out of these to save them some money, but this is something that very much needs to happen. So Arcata Township has approved both of these on their end, and this is an approval for us to move forward and buy these with the idea that the township reimburses for our time and labor.
Anyone have questions? Just thought, Dave, on some of our lift stations, did we not install like backup generator capacity or something?
We are looking at doing that. That's been a process in the last couple of years that we've looked at. Ran into some snags on there. 2 lift stations, we have found that we don't really have enough area to install a permanent generator like that was planned because of some of the underground piping. We are exploring the idea with Pine River Township to purchase their own so that they can use theirs as needed, and we can also borrow it. This would be a large portable one on the trailer like what we have. But no, we have not purchased those yet, but we are still exploring the idea of doing that. At least the lift stations that we can do that.
But we haven't done any of them yet.
Not any of the City of Alma's ones, no, correct. And the townships, when we talked with Pine River, they're okay with the idea, but they like the idea of the portable ones. So that's where we're exploring with Pine River. Arcata does not have the money to purchase those at this time. They have been saving up for a number of years and increased their sewer rates to try to get to the point where they can replace these pumps.
How many generators do we own then, portables?
2 that we rotate back and forth. And so far that works. They just have to monitor them and move them because you don't have to leave them stationary at one station, call it 6-8 hours. What you do is use them enough to pump them down. Once they're pumped down, then you take it to another lift station if it's without power, pump it down, and then you rotate them as needed.
How many lift stations do we have?
Oh, let's see here. 15.
That's a lot of movement if the town was without power for an extended period of time.
We have had that situation, and that's what we do is we just run around the clock rotating those as needed. And we've had that event, to my knowledge, at least one time. But with most situations, it works fine because there's a certain segment of town that's without, and then we can pump it down, and then we fill it up or let it sit and then go down. Some lift stations, you can let them sit for literally days without pumping, like the one at Gemstone. That one doesn't require constant monitoring. That one you can pump down and leave it for a day or 2. Others, not so much. And we do have standby generators on the most prevalent ones. Lift Station 8, famous one, the longtime commissioners, you guys have heard of the issues with Lift Station 8. That one has a standby generator in the event because that one runs so often. So we do have standby generators on 2 lift stations. And we do have a standby generator at the wastewater plant.
Oh, okay. I thought you said we didn't do any of the lift stations with generators.
No, we haven't done any new ones. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I thought you were talking about new ones that we've talked about in the last couple of years. I'm sorry, I misunderstood that.
Not overall, but okay.
Okay, I apologize.
No, perhaps I wasn't clear enough, but thank you. Does anybody else have questions? Okay, hearing none, I believe we had a motion on the floor, so all those in favor, thumbs up and a yay.
Aye.
Opposed, would be thumbs down and a nay. Looks like that is carried. Moving down to item number 3, consideration of a resolution to approve a request for purchase to Robinson Electric in the amount of $19,000 for valves and installation of 2 replacement pumps for lift stations 9 and 10 again with costs to be reimbursed by Arcata Township. So this is
Move to
totally
approve.
replaced.
Support.
Support. Any additional color, David, or?
First one was for the equipment. This one, the electrical contractor separately. So we went directly to the source with number 2, and number 3 is for the contractor and their labor and time to do it.
All those in favor would be a yay.
Aye.
Aye.
The nay, the thumbs down. Motion is carried. Moving on down to resolutions. First up, we have consideration of a resolution concurring with Grasia County's approval of a 2020 East Superior Street redevelopment brownfield plan.
That would be me.
We need a motion first, Jim, if you don't
Move
mind.
approval. Move approval.
Got a motion? We get support?
Support.
Motion and support. Okay, Jim, if you would, please.
Sure. This is, everybody's pretty known the building as the Plaid Door, which Ryan Smith and Gemini Capital has purchased it. Is doing again, it's one of these functionally obsolete buildings, just age and what they're doing. Right now, it will be just the first floor renovation, not a second floor. I think they've got a barber shop tenant and then an office space that they're going to have open for it. It's not a huge investment, but the total capital going into it's about $236,000. And once they've gone through and done all the calculations of what they've needed between asbestos, lead, interior, and some other things, demolition that counts to it, it's a brownfield authority of about, or brownfield approval amount of $63,496. Again, like I say, this one's going to be local only. Generally, the state is only going to get involved with it when it also includes second floor housing. That's really what their real big prime focus. This building doesn't lend itself, at least at this time, for that. And so Ryan's just looking at the first floor, but will be a nice facelift update and going forward with it. So I think a good premium to the downtown. Being that the building's not real expensive either, it's a pretty long-term payout on it. It's about a 30-year plan to recoup these costs. But again, it encourages people to make investments in our downtown and improve it. And I think it'll be a good situation for us.
Good.
Be happy to answer any other questions or anybody has. And
I'm just curious as to why the second floor doesn't lend itself to updating at this time. Just curious.
Ryan's actually on here. He can answer that for us.
Yeah, Roger. I wouldn't necessarily say that it doesn't lend it. We could only probably do 2 apartments up there if we were to do them, just giving size constraints. But with the other number of projects going on with 9 new apartments down at State Street and then the middle school lot, I'm not real in favor of adding any more until everything is completely leased. So in short, I don't want to overbuild.
Your plate's full enough. I understand, Ryan. Thank you.
Any other questions?
And I will add that we did ask the state to be involved, and they did not want to be involved. So we did try that avenue.
Hey, hearing no more questions, we'll move the motion. All those in favor will be a thumbs up and a yay.
Aye.
Those opposed are thumbs down and a nay. Looks like the motion is carried.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. We appreciate it. Okay, next up, we have consideration of a resolution concurring with Grasia County's declaration of a state of emergency. With the state of emergency and declaring intent to continue making public meetings available by Zoom in light of Michigan's recent spike in coronavirus cases. So I think the county has their declaration declared, and we're going to concur with it.
Move approval.
Support.
Any background on why we need to concur with it, Matt?
Just that as we started looking at this, if you remember that the original order sunset on March 30th that would not allow us to continue beyond that date without either a local state of emergency being declared. At that point in time, as we started to do some research, and Jim's on here, so I'll give him his kudos. Thanks to Jim and his staff who put out some information that really indicated that if our county, us being a municipality, inside the county, we're allowed to use the county's state of emergency, which they reinstituted back in December of 2020, the state of emergency due to the virus. So we're able to do that. The recommendation is that we actually do a resolution to resolve to follow that at this point in time. Currently, their state of emergency runs until December 31st of this year, but that will still open this board up to having decisions that we can make along the way as to how we'd like to go forward. And I did confirm this also with council.
So this gives us options.
Yes.
Yeah, to Matt's, credit, this is confusing. We were trying to do it for our Brownfield Authority, hence the meeting for this coming in, and we called MML. They said, well, if you get 6 attorneys' opinion, or 6 attorneys, they'll give you 12 opinions. And so Shelley actually in our office dug this out and found it through that we had it. So I'm not taking any credit whatsoever, but we've been sharing it around just given the nature of what we're into right now. Makes some sense.
All right. Kudos to Shelley. Any other questions? With that, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor, it'll be a thumbs up and a yay.
Aye.
Those opposed, thumbs down and a nay. Looks like the motion is carried. Thank you very much. Next, consideration of a resolution to revoke the marijuana facilities license previously issued to Woody's Nursery Incorporated at the request of the applicant, James Courtney, on March 11, 2021.
Move approval.
Support.
Matt or Eric, do you have any background on this?
Yep, I can give you some quick background on it. Obviously, as you can see from March 11th, James Courtney, who's the applicant for Woody's Nursery, called us and requested that we take them out of their provisional license, take them out of their provisional license. Basically, they came down to, the commission did give Woody's Nursery an extension back in December, calling us saying that they didn't wish to go any further, being it sounds like they're taking the investment dollars that they had. He's got an opportunity to work with somebody else more in the southern eastern part of the state, and he doesn't have enough capital to do both projects. So he chose to back out of this one and put the dollars down there toward the southeast part of the state. So that's the long and short of it. And after talking with Tony Costanzo, since we did approve the provisional licenses through resolution by commission, he thought it best that we have a resolution by commission revoking those licenses, even though it was at the request of the applicant.
Is this the one on Michigan Avenue or the one at the old Lobdell building?
It would have been the one over on Redmond Court off of Michigan Avenue. Yes.
So does this, since he asked to have it removed, is there somebody else then that it's offered to, or is this just done completely?
It's open. The only ones that we had to have that lottery for was the provisioning centers. Okay. So since this one was technically given back to the community, the next entity that meets our requirements from our ordinance and policy could apply for it and then come before this commission for approval.
Okay, thanks.
This is just a grow license. It's not a selling, right?
No, this would be grow and process. Yep. This is not a selling. No, those are all taken.
One more. I was contacted by one of the provisioners about recreational. Did they contact you, Eric?
I have not talked to anybody about recreation in a while. The last time I have talked to someone was representing the current one that's open on Warwick Drive, Consume. They've contacted us and we've informed them on the process to request to start down that path. So, but other than that group, I haven't talked to anybody.
I just sent them in your direction, so don't be surprised if you hear from somebody.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? Hearing none, those in favor, the thumbs up and a yay.
Yay.
Opposed, be thumbs down and an nay. The motion is carried. Thank you. Then we have consideration of a resolution proclaiming April 29th, 2021 as Arbor Day in the city of Elma.
So moved.
Okay. All right.
Motion support. Many years we've been doing this.
Oh, 30, a little over 30. Along those lines, we talked about it, I think last year was our 29th year. So this is somewhere around the 30, early 30s.
Who is it? Do we have a forester designated on
Yes.
staff?
Yes.
Is that you?
No, Robert Albrecht.
Robert is, okay.
Yep.
Cool. And let's see, I think we need a motion, right? No, we had a motion, I'm sorry. Is there any more comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, thumbs up and a yay?
Yay.
Of course, motion is carried. We have Arbor Day, or we'll celebrate it soon. Moving on down, commissioner may receive the following reports by one resolution, or any commissioner may remove any item or items within the section for individual discussion and vote. We have reports from the Elma Police Department, the transit system, building permits, planning commission, and city managers' reports. So a host of information. Your pleasure.
Matt, do you want yours pulled?
If there's anything that you need information on, most of that's pretty self-explanatory, or we're going to actually cover it a little bit here in the agenda. I gave you a lot of information that's on the agenda tonight, so
Okay.
thank you, though.
Yep. Move to approve them.
Support.
Any comments or questions? Last chance to pull anything? Hearing none, those in favor, thumbs up and a yay.
Aye.
Aye.
Thumbs down and a nay. We have received reports, thank you. Moving down to new business, first up we have consideration of a resolution to set a special hearing for April 20, 2021 at 6 p.m. for presentation of the fiscal year 2022 budget, and May 18th at 6 p.m. for review of the proposed budget if necessary. Your pleasure.
Move approval.
Support.
Support, comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, thumbs up and a yay.
Aye.
Aye.
And a nay. The motion is carried. Consideration number 2 would be consideration of a resolution to approve the City of Elma Finance Policy and Procedure Manual. Those fun pages we just got stacked into our report this week.
Move approval.
Matt,
If you think that part was fun, long overdue. I think we all know that. Long overdue, and in light of the end of our fiscal year, it's time to start to do these things, and so I took this upon myself where we stand right now
can I
to.
interrupt you for a second, Matt? I heard a motion. I
I'm
did
sorry.
not get support. Did you get it, Sarah? Did somebody support?
I made the motion.
Made the motion. And Roger supporting? Okay. So sorry to interrupt you, Matt.
No problem.
Matt, go ahead.
Thank you. It's time, as we've talked, at least in the 3.5 years I've been here, of our issues with policies being scattered all over the place. A while back, and Sarah, I'm not going to put you on the spot for the year, but I do know that the city had taken the Department of Treasury's Accounting Procedures Manual and really adopted that we were going to do something with that quite a few years back. So what I did was I did take that manual, which gives you an idea of what should be in and what every finance department should be doing. Cross-reference those with what we had, updated some of what we had. I will tell you about a third of the policies that were really truly needed, including an internal control policy, which was the majority and probably the most important policy that I'm giving to you now. And this will become, with your approval tonight, hopeful approval tonight, will become part of the ending of our audit process for this last year too, that I'll be submitting all of this to the state with a personnel plan and some other things that I'll be bringing to you here shortly also. So this is really the first step of 3 in order to start us down the proper path there.
Here's the first question. I guess it'll be me then, Matt. I'm really struggling with I'm fine with the policy portion of this. I really struggle with us approving procedures. As I think we've talked in the past, if you're meeting the policy objective, how you get there should be a management decision, not a commission decision.
And I appreciate that, Greg, because that's a good point. We really don't want to be coming back every time we look at different procedures or something changes.
If finding the efficiency, I want you to implement it. I don't want you to have to wait and come back through us.
And I'll be frank,
or if that change is doing something that isn't following our approved policies and procedures.
The reason I'm asking for approval is I believe that it's needed, in my opinion, for the next step with the state of Michigan as we go forward. But it may be language change on what I'm doing within this and create just the policies and then have a procedures as a separate, because they do break out that way. If you looked at most of everything inside of there had the objectives and policies and procedures in separate sections. So I don't know, and of course I told Tony we were good tonight, but I don't know if we could do something motion wise that allows those things to change, or if it's all within the one document. So we may need to look at that and amend this.
Can you separate, can we approve them with the understanding that the procedures will be part of the appendices and not?
I could separate those easily the way it's written. I think just each section could have their appendices that would separate them.
So we approve the policies, and then you would be responsible for the appended procedures.
Sure. If that would work, I think that would be the easiest, because I can separate those pretty easily within the document itself.
Satisfy my concern.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. The good catch there, Greg. We have talked about that before, and I just read through that thing and it didn't even occur to me, but you're right. We don't like to dictate procedures. So,
well, I'm sure Michelle knows, whatever you write down in your policy and procedure manual is what the auditors are going to hang you for.
Yeah. Yeah. Very much
Make
so.
sure we're following it.
yeah.
I can change
Was
those
that a
and make those
modification of your motion then, Nick? And
I'm trying to figure out how to word it. It would be that that we are approving the policies, just the policies manual, and he would append procedures. Now, auditors would be able to look at the procedures. They're kind of our internal rules, but we want to be flexible enough to let Matt change them as need dictates. So how do you want me to do it? Just to amend it to just the approval of the policies?
I think that would be fine.
Okay. So
Thank you for that catch, Greg.
We could even endorse the procedures if you wanted to,
yes.
or something like that.
That would. I'm looking for any horsepower, so that would be fantastic.
Whatever we give you, you're going to get hung by it.
So, the motion would be that the commission approves the finance department policies manual and endorses the appended procedures. How's that sound, Sarah? Do you want that in rhyme, or is this okay?
Just read as it reads
Sorry,
right now.
can you give that to me one more time, please, Nick?
The commission approves the finance department policies and endorses the appended procedures, and Matt will pull them out and make them an appendix.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's mud for everyone.
Yep.
Got it.
Do you have any more questions before we go to a vote? Okay, I think we're good. All those in favor, be a thumbs up and a yay.
Aye.
Those opposed, be a thumbs down and an A. Looks like the motion is carried. Thank you very much. Number 3, sewer leads in special assessment district number 2 of 2020. for construction of sidewalk on Iowa Street in conjunction with the 2020 Iowa Street Capital Improvement Project and Special Assessment District Number 1 for 2021 for construction of sanitary sewer leads on Francisco in conjunction with the Francisco Avenue Sanitary Sewer Replacement Project. That's a mouthful. Thank you, Dave.
Yes, and there's more to follow. This is just the beginning, so I apologize for that.
We need to receive this. Anyone so inclined?
Move to receive.
Support.
Motion support. Any comments or questions? I think we're all familiar with this stuff, but anybody questions? Dave, did you have anything special you want to tell about these projects, or?
I have a presentation if you want to hear it right now, or if you want to go to number 4, but I think this is probably the one right now where you want to, if you probably don't want to hear it, but I've got the presentation if you're so inclined, anybody to listen to it.
I think it'd be good to have it, to hear the presentation before we vote.
Okay. All right. I apologize in advance. This thing's going to get confusing for the next few meetings, I would believe, but I've got a presentation to share, so bear with me. I got an impromptu lesson today from Aaron, so I'm very much appreciative of that. All right, the first one is a proposed SAD for the construction of sanitary sewer leads on Iowa Street. For the veteran commissioners, I apologize for the repetition, but for the new ones, I'll discuss what this entails for what we do. Let's see here, go back to there we go. Whoops, I'm sorry. Okay, this is the sanitary sewer leads on Iowa Street. This gives you a general synopsis of where we're talking when I talk about the sanitary sewer leads and where we're going. What we do is we lean heavily on adding houses that may be a part of it, because I can always subtract houses later on, but I cannot add anything once the SAD district has been established. So you'll notice that there's 3 houses along Charles Avenue that are a part of that. I do know the one house at the intersection right there is connected to the sanitary sewer that's going to be replaced. The other 2 I do not know of, but I've added them in case their laterals happen to go on an angle and connect to the district that we're going to be replacing. The idea that we can always delete them and not charge them anything in the future. These houses, if you're familiar with this, we replaced the sanitary sewer main, and as a part of it, we replaced the sanitary sewer laterals from the main to just outside of the curb line. So it's between the sidewalk and curb, with the idea that these are brand new roads. We don't want them to be replaced or have any sections cut out of them and then anytime in the near future. So this prevents and drastically reduces the likelihood of patches in these roads or anything. The second reason is it helps to reduce the inflow and infiltration into the sanitary sewers. These are plastic lines with rubber gaskets. It drastically reduces the amount of clear water that enters the sanitary sewer that we'd have to treat in the event of high water events, high groundwater. So there's a twofold reason why we replace these laterals. And this is the estimated cost for a typical house. The 8x6Y is what they would be charged for the 6-inch sanitary service pipe, and that's charged by lineal foot. And for the clean out, if they do not have Schedule 40 plastic, we replace that up to between the sidewalk and the curb. If they have Schedule 40 plastic, we just hook it up as we see it right where we expose it at the main and connect it, and that's free of charge to the homeowners. But if it's anything other than that Schedule 40 plastic, we replace it, and then the property owners gets charged for these 3 different items. And here are all the addresses that we've listed that we believe are a part of this SAD or could be a part of it. And as I mentioned, if they have Schedule 40 plastic, they can be dropped from this list for the final cost. And also, if they don't have a sanitary sewer for whatever reason that connects to this main, we can also subtract them when we go to final this out. Are there any questions so far?
If I did, I just caught when you talked about the Y, and I'm sure that is what gives the opening to attach it to our main.
Correct.
So if they've got plastic coming up to the demarcation point between the curb and the sidewalk, say, they got plastic to there, but it's clay or whatever from that point onto our main, we don't charge them for that $350 piece of Y and the piece going to that?
Correct. Historically, we have not, because if they use plastic, For the most part, they have a plastic Y or a saddle that would be put on it. And because they have paid at some point at that property to put the plastic saddle on there to prevent roots and also to prevent intrusion of groundwater, we don't charge them because at some point it has been replaced. If it's clay, it's either a hole cut in the main and they just put the clay right into it and there is no Y, so that's why they're charged for it. And they're not charged for it for other situations.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And the homeowner would pay half of the cost for this. The city of Elma would pay the other half. So that was one thing I was not clear on, but this spreadsheet shows that.
Now, the city's portion of this actually comes out of the sewer fees that we collect. Is that true? It's not general fund money.
That is correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Good question. Thank you. If there are no more questions, we can always go back and visit it, but I'll move on to the next one. This is proposed SAD number 2. This is for the construction of a sidewalk. It's part of Iowa Street. It's addressed off Iowa, but it's not on Iowa. It's along Charles Avenue. Most of you are familiar with this, but I have a nice little aerial view that'll show it. Tried to superimpose the light gray, white area as existing concrete. The red is what we're proposing. What this would do was create a sidewalk that connects Iowa Street to the newly constructed park and ride, the parking lot and the restroom, that trailhead for the rail trail. And unfortunately, there's only one house that this would affect, but as per historical with SADs, the city would pay half, the property owner would pay the other half. This is an estimated cost for both. With these types of SADs, we charge by lineal foot, and I went a little bit heavy on the square foot because I'm not really sure where concrete's going to come in this year. I do know it'll be a little cheaper rate because the bulk amount of concrete we'll be buying for Iowa Street. But where I come up with that is I take that square footage amount and I multiply it by 5, and that's where I come up with that lineal footage, the cost per lineal foot. So that's what we're estimating right now if we choose to move forward with this. Any
part of this, Dave, we're not completing the loop down to, well, down past Elma Container?
No, this is a part of the street construction project on Iowa. The reason I'm proposing this is because we're literally right here. We're working at that location. This might be a time to consider making that connection, at least to the rail trail here from the south.
The last piece of it to get that loop closed.
This does not do that.
Would that be possible to add that in this year?
As a part of this, that is something we would have to consider to add it to this SAD. But no, I did not put it on as a part of this one. So that is something to entertain in the future. That one is a different sidewalk. That's a 10-foot wide shared use path. I'm proposing on this one a 5-foot wide 5-foot wide typical city sidewalk because that's what's around. This wouldn't be a part of that shared use path system.
It's been a number of years that we've had that portion that's unfinished, and we're driving people into walking and riding in the road there, and that's a pretty densely, highly traveled road at some pretty good speeds occasionally. So. Yeah. Would it make sense? I mean, with the cost of concrete, you said you're going to get a better deal with the volume you're buying. Does it make sense to do that this year and finish it off?
That could be something to explore. That will have a good number of concrete for its own, just that area up there at Alma Concrete, or excuse me, Alma Container. Sorry, the C words. But at this point, I would look at 2 different options. You could add it to this one, or we could come up with a separate SAD to go from the rail trail north. Those would be the 2 options I would look at exploring.
So we have to go up farther than that too. We have to go past the Alma Container up to Scotland Oil, don't we?
I believe so, yes.
I think so, yeah.
So that would be one we could add as its own sidewalk SAD, at least what I would propose, just in the idea of getting this going because of the Iowa Street construction program. Anyhow, because that one's not going to be too far around the corner. That one there, we could create one conceivably and do it in the fall, and we could budget for it, or we could add it to next spring, but either way, we could budget for that one. That one right now does not show up anywhere in our budget for this current or next year's fiscal budget year, but that'd be something we could look at adding.
With our contracting, I know quite often in our sidewalk replacement program, we've bundled 2 years together because we didn't have enough volume. That's why I was just thinking, does it make sense to bundle this one together now?
This year's sidewalk replacement program will be a bundle, as you mentioned. That one will be an $80,000 contract that we're going to put out yet here in the next couple weeks. If we were going to do it, I would propose doing an SAD separately and having that as its own project, or we could do it as an SAD and add it to the annual sidewalk replacement program with the idea that we could budget some money into it for FY 2022 and spend that money in early July.
I guess I'm looking for your recommendation on what's the most efficient way to do this. And then, the commission, I'd like to hear from other commissioners, is there interest in completing that loop sooner rather than later, waiting a few more years? I'm afraid somebody's going to get hit on Charles Avenue on that place that we just haven't completed.
I'm going to throw this out there too, just to some of the curiosity as to where we go with some of this infrastructure money or other things that may be coming forward. Again, we're still waiting to see what exactly may be allowed under all that we may be able to find some relief there also, but there's no guarantees there yet either. I understand that.
If we started planning for this project right now, maybe some of that money could fall in this direction. Just a thought, but.
Yeah, to second what Matt said, right now that's still in limbo. It's pretty much a foregone conclusion. There'll be some money coming from the Biden administration for infrastructure. What all that entails and the constraints placed on that, I do not know. I know there's been a number of different thoughts and ideas and suggestions, but until it's down in paper, I don't know. I know we're going to see some money. That might be something to piggyback on what Matt said, to maybe look down that avenue. But for this one, I would at least propose keeping this one as is so I can keep that going with the Iowa Street reconstruction project.
Because there'll be two options really possibly coming up next. There could be two options, that if it fits in infrastructure or if it fits in under the rescue plan. So we may have some, until those guidelines come out here, which is supposed to be by the end of the month.
Right. Anybody else have questions?
Well, I agree. I would like, us to look into it. If it's easiest to go ahead. Whoops. Yeah, if it's easiest for us to go ahead with what's being proposed tonight, but I would also like us to get it moving so that we, like Greg said, make it safer and get it going.
I agree. Let's put that in our planning to do very soon with, especially if there's the option of that Biden money coming in. It's a nice time to do it. It doesn't exactly fit in with the Iowa Street project, because it, is not really near Iowa Street, but it's near everything else that we're doing. Mm-hmm. And I agree. I think we should get it done as soon as we could, but as a separate SAD.
Anybody else? With that, I think we do have a motion and support on the table to receive the report.
I've got one more to do if you guys want to keep that.
You want to do some more? Okay, go ahead.
Yes. This one is for Francisco Avenue. This is for the sanitary sewer laterals. There's no sidewalk proposed on this one. Same thing as what we were talking about on Iowa Street, replacing the sanitary sewer laterals from the main to between the sidewalk and curb, for all the same reasons. This one has a little bit different costs because this was bid out differently. This is the region we're talking about. Same thing, I've added a few houses on Michigan Avenue because I'm not quite sure where those are going to connect. We can always delete those later on. The cost is a little bit different on this one because it was bid out differently. We hired this one out to be done with the engineering work. The cleanouts were a part of the clean out, and the Ys were the same cost included, so you'll see a higher cost in some of this, so the prices aren't the same. I do have actual bid prices for the lineal foot for pipe, so that would explain the cost difference on these. And that is the end of the presentation. If there's any questions on Francisco.
Questions? Thank you, David. Appreciate the information.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we do have a motion and a support on the table to receive this report. So all those in favor will be a thumbs up and a yay.
Yay.
Opposed, be thumbs down and a nay. The report has been received. Thank you. So next, we consider a resolution to set a public hearing for Tuesday, May 11th, 2021 at 6 p.m. or as close to that as the agenda allows for the purpose of reviewing the special assessment districts number 1 and 2 of 2020 for the 2020 Iowa Street Capital Improvement Project and special assessment district number 1 of 2021 for the Francesco Avenue Sanitary Sewer Replacement Project. Your pleasure.
Move approval.
Move to support.
Motion support. Any questions on setting the hearing? Pretty straightforward. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the motion is carried. Thank you, and thank you, David. Appreciate your work on all that. Next down, appropriations. Is anyone in favor of paying the bills?
Move we pay the appropriations or whatever we're doing.
Support.
Motion support. Are there any comments or questions on any of the items included thereof? Hearing none. Those in favor, thumbs up and a yay.
Yay.
Aye.
Opposed would be a thumbs down and an A. Looks like that motion is carried as well, which moves us along to commissioner comments. So let's start with Roxanne tonight.
I don't have anything major to add, just good to see everybody. Take care.
Roxanne. Michelle.
Just the exciting news that the Highland Festival Committee put out today that on Friday of Highland Festival weekend, they're going to do some sort of fun stuff downtown. So it'll be exciting.
So I know we'll be bringing you to then the MDOT closures because we haven't done anything for so long. So we will make some adjustments within that. So I was glad to finally get that they decided to do that. So Eric and I talked about that the other day and we'll be moving some information on MDOT.
I think it's 3 to 8. I think it's 3 to 8 or something, was it, on Friday?
3 to 10.
3 to 10, okay. Cool.
Yes, Michelle?
And May 1st is Keep Alma Beautiful Cleanup Day. But we did just have 50 Alma College students help on Sunday, and they made downtown Wright Park look pretty good. So, and if I wouldn't have been having lawnmower problems, I would have been down there. That's all I have.
Thank you, Michelle. Sandy.
I'd just echo what Michelle was saying, but other than that, nothing.
Okay, thank you. Nick.
Nothing to add. Everybody's I'm fine.
Roger.
Just FYI, the Pine River Arts Council and Lucky McDuck committees did vote this past week to tentatively go ahead with Lucky McDuck Day for September 11th, I think, 11th or 12th, whatever that first Saturday after Labor Day is. We're planning on going ahead with it pretty much as it has been in the past. We're going to schedule the duck race with the possibility of maybe doing a drawing instead. But we're looking for entertainment and kind of doing some of the same things that we have before. Just that's been a fun thing for the city to people of the city to do, and it's a great fundraiser for the Pine River Arts Council, and we use that money for grants for lots of stuff during the year. But keep your fingers crossed. We're hoping that by September we are in a good enough place to be able to do that. That's it.
Sarah, did you have any comments? No? Okay. Matt, anything additional?
Just let you know that the Put Your Town on the Map presentation that we've been talking about for the last year happened today.
Hard hit as a state right now, so although there's more and more vaccine opportunities out there, it still seems to be hitting us hard. In addition, I guess if Matt's done, I wanted to mention that on April 22nd, which would be next Thursday, a week from Thursday, The Healthy Pine River Group is partnered with Padnos Recycling and WMLM radio station, and they're getting together. They're going to have a dumpster in the library parking lot to collect scrap metals, and all the proceeds from that scrap will go to the Healthy Pine River Group to help clean up our river. So that's a great project and a great time to clean out your garage if you've got any extra scrap or whatever. And also, I've heard a rumor that there's some farmer that's got a combine or something that he wanted to donate. It's not going to fit in the dumpster, but they're making arrangements to take that out there at a different time. So if you've got larger items like that you want to get rid of, you got a combine in your backyard you want to get rid of, you contact the Healthy Pine River Group or Padnos and make arrangements for that special, because they can't accommodate that in the dumpster, obviously. But it should be a neat day and a neat project, and that's from 10 to 2 on the 22nd. And then I also wanted to mention the Chamber of Commerce has got a sidewalk art chalk walk type program, I think is going to be the name of it, coming up, where they'll get groups together and draw art on the sidewalks, and put a cover on them to preserve some kind of a hairspray or something they preserve it with. So I'll look for more details on that as well. So that should be a fun project and something to do downtown. I think they're thinking the week before Highland Festival, the week before the weekend. So we'll see for sure, but there'll be definitely more coming out about that. So with that, that's all
I just want to make sure that everybody knows that Elma Action, the Spring Fling Golf Outing, is set for May 21st at the Country Club. Be a 9-hole golf with cart, 4-person scramble. If you participate in this in years past, the fact that this is in late May, jump in, because generally we're always out there wearing snow mittens and hats and boots almost, because it's cold, because it's in early April. So this will be a real nice opportunity for us to get out and do this in some nice weather. So
it's always fun. And I understand that it's going to be 9 holes this year instead of 18. It's going to happen in the afternoon too, I believe, right, Aaron? Or Pat? Eric? Sounds like so. Good. Another good event. Lots of good things going on around town, so stay healthy. We'll open up to the public. I don't see any members of the public, but certainly staff can comment if there's anything staff would like to address the commission on, or any members of the public might be out there. Aaron, do you have anybody that would like to comment?
I do not see.
Yeah, we'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.